cover slide says that we're advancing Mexico's most promising exploration project. And I truly believe it. I've looked at a lot of projects in Mexico over my years. I was previously a VP of Corporate Development for First Majestic Silver. And when I saw this project, it just had everything you could want from an exploration standpoint. And I'll get into it in a couple of these slides. So quickly, the board of management, we have a lot of experience working in Mexico. There's a slide that has the people coming up, so we'll go through that then. We're in the Sierra Madres. We're in the right location in Mexico for silver and gold. This project we've got 12,000 hectares, and we have over 30 kilometers of mapped veins on surface. I'll repeat that, 30 kilometers. And only about 10% of that has actually ever been drill tested. So we have targets all over the place and extremely high grade. We have high grade at surface going down, and we're fully permitted. We actually have a drill rig today, showed up last week, that's drilling. We're permitted for 146 drill sites. We're currently underway of an 8,000 meter drill program, and that'll last us until the end of Q4, and then in the Q1 of next year, we're gonna expand that most likely. Claudia, this project has been private for the last 50 years. It was owned by a private Mexican group back in the 90s. It comes from a very good pedigree. Actually, Vizsla, the Panuco project, was part of this portfolio that Claudia was in back in the 90s. So it really comes from a great group of projects. And again, first time it's ever been in the public eyes. Our ownership and our shares outstanding, we're only 60 million shares. Of that, only maybe about 10 million are actually are tradable today. There's a decent amount that's been locked up and escrowed as part of that transaction. Dan Kuntz, this is our board and our advisors. Dan's our chairman. He recently joined us. Dan is a great technical guy. He was the CEO of Prime Mining, which is currently under a transaction with Torex. Dan was also the CEO back in the day of Ivanhoe when they discovered the OT in Mongolia. So it's great to have on the board. Myself, as I said, I was with, prior to forming Pacifica, from 2010 to 2023, I was the VP Corporate Development at First Majestic Silver. When I joined First Majestic, we were producing 2 million ounces of silver with a 200 million market cap. And when I left, we were the second largest silver producer in Mexico and over 4 billion market cap. Ramon Mendoza is a director, a great friend. He's a mining engineer. He's currently the COO of Luca Mining. He's a great guy to join us on the board. Steve Weiss from our advisor side. Steve is a geologist. He was with Glamis back in the 90s, and when they were acquired by Gold Corp, he joined Gold Corp, retired in 2013. He's really the tacit knowledge of this project. He's worked here for quite a while. Great guy. On the management side, we just announced we had Octavio, our VP of Exploration, join us. He joined us actually 2 weeks ago. He is a structural geologist. He was a senior geologist at Penasquito in Mexico for Newmont. And when this opportunity came up for him, he jumped on it. He's worked in this area before in the past, and he knows it quite well. And being a structural geologist is exactly who you want for these fractured systems. Fernando, our president, he was the prior CEO of the company that we acquired this project from. He lives in Mazatlan. He's a great guy, Mexican, very well connected in Mexico. His family comes from the hospitality side. They have a number of resorts throughout the country. His uncle is the Minister of Agriculture from the federal level under the president. So he's our go-to guy in Mexico, and again lives very near the project and visits quite often. So just zooming in on the map here, again, the infrastructure is key. We're literally right off the highway, about an hour and a half north of the city of Durango. This town of Santiago Papisquero, which is about 10 kilometers from our project, has about 50,000 people that live there. Hotels, banks, we have our core shed and our office there. So people who are working at site can go home and sleep in their beds at night. You don't have to fly in and fly out of this project, which is fantastic for keeping costs such as drilling extremely low. I mean, we're drilling for $100 a meter here, which is crazy compared to, like Nevada, for example. You're going to spend $400 or $500 a meter in Nevada. Idaho is roughly the same. And don't get me started about Canada, but $100 a meter, your dollar goes a long way down there. So low cost, high grade infrastructure. You couldn't ask for anything better. We have a power line that runs right through the project, and the water, we've got runoff for the drills. It's again fantastic. So I won't go through all the text here, but you can kind of see the history of this project. There's a head frame on the left there of a 100-meter shaft that was developed back in the 90s by Grupo Minero Basis. They drilled 30 holes roughly and pulled this thing into production right away. They were more of a mining group versus an exploration group. They knew they had something. They mined there for a couple of years. From what we can tell, we don't have all the historical production, but we do have some. Then they had to divest this project in the early 2000s to Capstone. Capstone did very minimal work on this project. They drilled a couple 10 holes just to exercise the option. And then they got acquired by Silver Wheaton, now Wheaton Precious. Silver Wheaton, they acquired this because of the Cozamin mine and all the exploration projects that were part of the Capstone they spun out. And it went into this private group called Silverstone, and they did no work on it. They just sat on it. And they started to divest projects in 2022. Panuco was sold to Vizsla. Durango Gold bought Claudia. Durango Gold then started a small drill program. They did about 8,000 meters and had some pretty good success. But obviously Mexico and AMLO, and it was a challenging time for Mexico, and raising money as a private company didn't go so well for them. So that created the opportunity for us to step in and take over the project. So you can see a map here. Again, you can see the red veins here. There's 30 kilometers of veins here. So we've got targets all over the place. On the right-hand side, you can see the outcrop of the Guadalupana vein and an adit that was going in for the old timers. Some of the samples, I'm not going to read the numbers here, but the grades we don't have to worry about. High grade, high grade, high grade. There was a historical resource that was published, or the Basis group put together back in the 90s. I won't read the numbers, but there's some significant upside here. We're going to unlock over the next 12 months. Our plan is to come out with the technical or 43-101 report with the resource. There's not a time crunch to do that, but the Basis group said they might an 800-meter long structure, and they said, okay, if this structure continues for another 800 meters to the north, and 800 meters to the south, and 300 meters deep, they calculated 77 million ounces of silver and 1.5 million ounces of gold. So again, blue sky, it's historical. We're not saying that. That's their numbers. So we have 4 principal veins. That one number, the 77 million ounces and 1.5 million ounces gold, was just on one of the 4 veins. These 4 veins, we're seeing the range of the true width between 1 and 10 meters. There's a picture of the outcrop that was just behind that head frame you saw in the previous picture. This is what Basis had drilled historically and decided, let's take this baby into production. We have some areas like Lizeth to the north, where all these veins are coming together. There's a 250-meter wide structure outcrop there that has never been drilled. It's been sampled by Capstone, but there's never been a drill put into this area. One day in the future, it could be a bulk tonnage operation, but for now, we're focused on the Aguilarena and the Guadalupana areas for an underground operation. Okay, we're almost done here. This was a step-out hole in 2021. You can see here 9 meters of almost 700 gram silver equivalent. There was a 4-meter section of that of 10 grams gold and 400 grams silver. That's a mine, in my opinion. We're going to drill a 100-meter step-out to the north of this and a 100-meter step-out to the south. And if we can hit, I think we can announce that we've found the extension of this Aguilarena vein. This is our drill program, 8,000 meters. It's a very busy slide, very busy picture, but we're gonna, there's structure all over the map here, and we're gonna be drilling it over the next 16 months. Here's a picture of the view of the project. You know, we're not up in the mountains. We're accessible. We don't have to do any major land clearing. And again, it's a great location for an exploration project. Our shareholders, we just raised $10 million last month. We closed it, and within 3 weeks, we had the first drill rig on site. I think it's the first time that I've seen 3 corporates come into a junior company. We had First Majestic, Vizsla Silver, Silver Corp, as well as Eric Sprott, Trinity Partners, which is Pierre's hedge fund. Market cap is 60 million, 65 million. And again, we have $10 million in the bank. And that's it.